as we continue our series on spiritual disciplines. We've done some that are real familiar to people so far, and now kind of getting into a few disciplines that are more unfamiliar, at least in our spheres, talking about fasting.
Yeah.
Had you had more time, take it away.
Well, fasting presented a little bit of a challenge for me, just because, I'd be hard pressed. I'd be hard pressed to make a biblical argument that fasting is mandated post Christ. And so when it comes to doing daily devotions, I can say, you know what? God wants everybody to do this. When it comes to daily prayer, I can say very confidently, everybody, God wants everybody to do this. When it comes to fasting, it's much more in the category of a tool in the toolbox, and something that kind of, I would say, enhances some of the other disciplines like prayer and like daily devotions. And I guess I was pretty happy with how the sermon went. A lot of people approached me afterwards to kind of ask me about my own experiences with this. I had mentioned that I had done some experimentation with this in the last month or two. And have you ever fasted before?
I've done some fasting, yes.
You've done some fasting. So previous to a couple months ago, I had done a number of like 48, 50-hour fasts, fasting for 2 days. And it's always uncomfortable. It comes to mealtime and it's like, I decided I'm not going to eat a meal, and, I get kind of grumpy. And, so I've done this before, and usually a way to kind of stave that off is I just go to bed early, because I don't want to go through the whole evening just kind of like thinking about how much I want food. But I mentioned that a few weeks ago I did actually a 100-hour fast, and that was 4 days. And what amazed me in that experience is that once I got past the 2-day mark, I was tired and I would say low energy, but I was past that kind of, I'm obsessed about food. I'm really hungry. Like it brought me past those kind of initial really uncomfortable things. And really what started to happen physically is that I could kind of feel like the toxins leaving my body. It was like, my body was kind of dealing this it felt like a healthy thing rather than just an uncomfortable thing, and doing some reading on it. That's when kind of something called autophagy kicks in, and your cells kind of start to repair themselves and get rid of damaged stuff. And so I got into this. I got into this part of the fast that was actually kind of enjoyable. And coming up on the 100 hours, I even started to feel like, what, I could probably fast for longer. Like I'm over the hump, and so maybe I'll try that sometime. But what I just mentioned is the physical stuff. And as I mentioned in the sermon, there's physical benefits of fasting.
Of course.
Some of these good processes in your body can start to happen. And, I suppose you can fast to lose weight. I lost quite a bit of weight in the week where I did the 4-day fast. But if you're doing it primarily for those physical reasons, that's kind of your reward.
Sure.
Now, I would have to say that my motivations were a little bit mixed, but I tried to have my primary motivation kind of doing the fast to enhance what's this going to do to my devotions? What's this going to do to kind of what I think about during the day? And the other thing I would mention that's maybe even more important than the physical stuff is that, once I got past that initial really uncomfortable feeling, it was amazing what I would think about during the day. It was like I wasn't sweating any of the small stuff. I wasn't, frustrated about this or that little thing that wasn't going right. It was almost like I just had just a more healthy perspective, I guess. It allowed me to focus a little bit more clearly on, what I was reading in the Bible. Even though I didn't have as much energy, I was a lot more focused in my work, just because I don't know if it was the spiritual component or because I didn't have as much energy, but I found myself having to focus on the things that I needed to get done a little bit more. And so I feel like God really kind of taught me some good things, including that, there was such a good feeling about having that kind of mastery over the desires of my flesh.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just felt like such a big win. Like, you know what? I can do this. It gives you kind of some confidence. Like, you know what? God calls us to do certain things in this life, and sometimes I feel like I'm so prone to temptation and I get off track. And you do a fast and kind of accomplish a period of time like that, and you think, you know what, I have more control over this than I think. You know what I mean? It's just a matter of you decide to push yourself. So I think that I'm going to keep experimenting with this, at least in a healthy way. And I would say probably the most difficult thing is to keep those physical benefits and the spiritual benefits, I guess, in the right hierarchy with the right priorities.
Sure, but those things are going to be mixed.
Sure, you're going to have the physical benefits no matter what, but if that's the primary reason, if that's what you're getting excited about,
of course,
then that's your reward. And I want this to be something more than that, right?
Yeah, but we are body and soul.
Yep.
And fasting is about
both
our relationship with the physical.
Yeah.
And so the things that I've learned in fasting have often been, it will reveal something about how I relate to physical things, positively or negatively. Usually negatively, because that's how we learn. But
sure.
Like realizing how mindlessly and how often we satisfy a fleshly desire. When I've fasted, it's ridiculous how often I'll make the kids breakfast and just eat something because I wanted to.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, oh man, I was fasting. But it's just that desire manifested me and I satisfy it.
Right.
Without thinking. So that's always one thing that I was kind of taken aback by with regular fasting. Like, wow, I satisfy my fleshly desires so easily.
Yeah. It's just habit.
And the other thing that I found to be powerful in fasting was my character as a Christian, pastor, father, husband, man, should be the fruit of the Spirit in me, not the fruit of how comfortable I'm feeling.
Absolutely.
And so I would often find that, I was a pretty patient dad until I was fasting.
Sure. I saw some of that too.
I'm a grumpy, impatient dad. Or I was a pretty loving husband until I'm fasting, and then I was short.
Sure.
And easily angered. And so that revealed some things spiritually in me, right? It kind of goes both ways. I learned something about how I relate to the physical, and then I learned also something about my spiritual nature, which is you got an awful lot more work to do.